Come on.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the only podcast produced by three two-time winners of IMSA's Spirit of the Race Award. You're tuned into the Check Engine Podcast. We're hosted on Anchor.fm, and we are streamed worldwide on all the platforms that you use to listen to your favorite podcasts and shows. My name is Nick. Joining me, as they do every week, are my two good friends, Andrew and Tristan. Guys, we had a week off. How have you been?
Good. I mean, well, not to spoil it, but you had your own racing adventures. We took the week off. I mean, mostly because of that. And God, I can't wait to hear about it. I'm excited to hear about the 500, man.
Yeah, the 500, and then karting last night, which was the exact opposite of what happened 2 weeks ago. So it's a lot of racing adventures as a spectator and misadventures as a driver. So that's all well and good, and we can get to that. Tristan, how you been, man? What'd you guys do on your end?
Yeah, we took a little vacation on the Indy weekend, and then enjoyed the time off, relaxed a little bit, saw some family this weekend, and I am just despite not having gone to the 500, I'm a little bit toasty, and I'm tired of being hot. And it's only the first week of June, which is not fair and needs to stop immediately.
Too hot. Hot damn.
Yeah, 94 degrees in June. Not okay.
But it hasn't been super muggy. I mean,
that is true.
No, not a weather podcast.
It's a dry heat. Yeah, it's a dry heat. Shut up.
It's not a dry. Okay, no.
Shut up.
Nick, this is why you're here. You're supposed to stop us from doing this.
We're not a weather podcast.
Did you hear
we
him
are
try?
a what podcast? We are a car podcast. So we've actually got like would we call it a dual topic tonight?
I mean, I think this may turn into a little bit more of just things we want to talk about, because I actually have a lot to say about F1, and then we're going to talk about Indy. We're going to talk about some license plate action, because Tristan brought up an interesting thing about license plates in general. And well, Tristan has a website full of license plate information. It was Nick's first idea to say, hey, let's take a look at some of these crazy license plates. And then the best type of content available right now is reviewing other people's lists.
Yes.
And
it's easy. It's lazy.
No, don't tell them why. Just say it's the best content available. So anyways, WatchMojo, which is like a YouTube trash channel, has almost 300 lists that are tagged with car or cars. And some of them actually have to do with things about cars, although most of them don't. So I want to look at some of those too, because they're weird and kind of funny.
We can review those. Yeah, there's a lot happening. Well, I mean, this is usually what goes on when we take a week off, is we've got a lot to catch up on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a lot to cover tonight. So where do you guys want to begin?
I actually want to start with this because I posted it on Twitter, but basically no one follows us on Twitter, and it's so funny that I have to bring it up here. The other day, as I was driving to work, I'm sitting in traffic, and a first gen Ford Raptor pulls up like past my car and ends up sort of like in front of me in the other lane at the light.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know how, all right, so the thing is, on American cars, the thing is to like put the cubic inch number of the engine somewhere.
Yeah.
That means something to people. I don't particularly know. But the poor guy in this Raptor, I mean, clearly he wants to participate. He wants to be part of the culture. He wants the other Ford and V8 appreciating people to know about the cubic inch that he is packing. Unfortunately, what he did was put inch symbols next to the liter amount of the engine. So he has a 6.2 a 6.2 cubic inch Raptor instead of the more traditional whatever it would be 380 or something like that.
Yeah.
Poor man.
Are we sure that's the goal?
You know what? That is a charitable interpretation.
That's
perhaps
hysterical.
it's to prove that he's not compensating for something with his truck.
That could also, what a coincidence that would be.
Yes. The truck and I have the same liters.
Chuck and I are of the same inches.
Yes. 6.2 cubic inches.
Oh man.
I was laughing really hard about that.
You
and
poor
I just
fellow.
don't think, I don't think anyone who doesn't at least know that much about cars would really appreciate it. But I really got a kick out of that.
6.2 cubic inches.
He tried.
It's
You
like
tried. That's where we're.
If there was a Hot Wheels Raptor, that would about less than that even.
Probably like a solid die cast.
Yeah, like a 1/20th scale or whatever.
Oh.
1/18th scale Raptor is a 6.2 cubic
Do you
inch.
think anyone's going to tell him?
I hope not. Well, I mean, we kind of just did. I don't know. He probably doesn't listen to us.
Probably doesn't listen. But do you think like a friend would take him aside and be like, "Hey, man, I got to tell you something."
Would you?
No.
Tristan, you
Nope.
neither. You
Nope,
wouldn't
I
either?
would let that continue
No
for
way.
as long
Me
as
neither.
possible.
I'd let that ride, dude.
Yeah, clearly a bunch of supportive, helpful friends here, and
Are we gatekeeping car culture by saying that?
no, he is definitely welcome. He can show up at any car event, and I would love that.
I will laugh at him at any Cars and Coffee, any car event,
Exactly.
anywhere.
That's funny anywhere.
Yeah, man, you just keep doing you with your 6.2 cubic
6.2 inches, baby. Anyways,
Oh, that's a good way to kick it off. That's a good humorous story. So he actively went out and bought
Little inch.
like inch
Markers.
symbol
Yep.
badges,
yep.
and he
And
put it
the
on the
6.2.
basically the wrong side of the tailgate.
I mean, I guess kind of. Well, because the Raptor, I don't think ever had like cubic inch badging. That's not like a Ford thing necessarily.
Yeah, that's
Actually,
true.
It's a
that's
Dodge thing.
That's a
yeah,
Dodge
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And exactly one displacement in the Mustang.
Yes, correct.
True.
Which is
The boss.
also not the displacement of that engine, really.
No.
But yeah, I don't know. I just hope no one tells him. Ever.
Anybody listening, let's drive up to Wisconsin and try to find that Raptor.
And then don't tell him.
And don't
Yeah.
just take pictures.
Slow roll past his truck constantly and just never tell.
That's awesome. Hey, more power to him. Oh,
Speaking of car losers, the other day, this weekend, I was going to the bagel place, get a little breakfast bagel. And
Sure.
a couple cars ahead of me in the line was a dude in a Lamborghini Gallardo.
ooh.
And if you don't know this, if you're in a drive-through line in a Lambo, you're a fucking loser. You look like such an idiot in that thing, attempting to do people stuff. Like, go park and go inside. You can go inside now. Don't do the drive-through.
Maybe he was in a hurry.
Because A, you don't fit a lot of times.
Yep.
And B, you're looking up at the window like a toddler looking up at daddy.
You had to get you had to go out.
Yeah, you
You
gotta.
had to go out of the door to get to the window.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big stretch.
You look like such a loser. Don't do it. You have the Lambo already. Go into the store or have them bring your food out, for Christ's sakes. Just
Curbside.
something.
If you can afford a Lambo, you could probably afford someone to go get you your food.
Also that.
Send your assistant
Pay the Uber
in
Eats.
her Chevy Aveo to go grab it for you and bring it back to the office.
Whatever it is, do something different.
Yeah, for sure.
Tristan,
you got any weird stories or neat news? You had a lot of driving over the past couple of weeks. Do you see anything out there that was
nothing
worth noting?
Nothing super noteworthy. It was just I was driving and I was impressed by the sheer number of classic things I don't like that were happening. Like just nothing specific, but like
classic hate.
Just a guy in a 6-inch lifted truck, practically parked over my trunk when I'm going 78 miles an hour on the freeway. And it's like, you need to back up or I'm going to tap the brakes and take out your axles. That kind of stuff. Ridiculous setups galore. And I think I've heard more overrun backfire in the last week than I have since the pandemic started. Fully 70% of that belonging to your ilk, Nick. So,
ST drivers?
STs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
A lot of rattle clack boom. Just a lot of STs had a lot to say.
I cannot take responsibility for every single one of them.
Well, but what I will say is that maybe it's like easy mod compatibility, right? It's a chicken egg thing always with these cars that are always just modified all to hell. But STs are a definite victim of that. Is it that there are so many different companies who support it, or is it that it's so easy to modify? But
all of the above. I saw it in Indy too. Whether it be sitting in traffic, leaving the track, or rolling down to the speedway on race morning. Aesthetically, outside of a few decals, mine looks basically stock. I've got a Cobb air tuner in it, and that's about it at this point. And there were a lot of my kin, as Tristan puts it, that were going all out. They were stanced, different exhausts, all of it, all the above. Down in Indiana too is the same thing. It's like, this is my slightly like 70, more pimped out brother over here.
70% Focus STs, 25% Nissan products.
Oh.
And one GTI.
Nissan products.
Yeah.
370s?
Which ones?
3X zeros, 50s and 70s.
Yeah.
And an Altima.
Interesting.
Okay. Sure.
So
I mean, this isn't necessarily tangentially related, but the further we get from it, I always like the 350, but the further we get from the 350, the better and better it looks. I think.
Yes.
There was like an inverse bell curve. Like it looked good, and it very quickly started to not look good.
Yes.
And it looked bad for a while, and is now coming back up for whatever reason.
I don't know why. I'm keeping track of it in my mind though. I mean,
because
God
the
help you.
400Z,
and it's cycling inversely with the 370Z.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I perish the thought if you ever want to find one that's stock. My God.
Yeah. If you find one that's a stock, it just means it's had all the parts taken out of it already.
Yeah, exactly. However, I wonder if that could be, I mean, I don't know shit about this, and I don't believe in investment cars anyway, but I wonder if the 350 is something that could be like a desirable car in the future. I don't know. I don't know who makes that stuff up, because clearly some dude just invents it, but
I mean, Artisan Loaf has his Camry index. Is he the one who sets that?
I don't think so. He just tells us what's reasonable.
He just interprets. He doesn't set.
Yes, the Sultan of Brunei, I think, would be the one setting prices for this stuff.
I feel like the Sultan of Brunei could afford more than a modded 350Z.
Yeah, but doesn't he have like the world's biggest car collection?
He does.
So he probably is the guy. I would ask him.
Yeah, we'll get him on the show next week. We'll call him up.
Oh my God. let's talk about Indy, man. Come on. We got shit that happened.
There was a lot of shit that went down at Indianapolis, and so hopefully my co-hosts here and you fine listeners will just allow me to go off on my soliloquy here, because
yes, please.
There's
a soliloquy.
There's a bit to say, at least from my perspective. Number one, we'll just get this out of the way. There's no fucking way they capped the attendance at 135,000.
Nope.
Like, there is not a chance in hell that was 135,000. So one of the cool parts about getting back there this year was, whether it be at the hotel or the people that you tailgate around or whatever, like, you get to see the people that now it's been 2 years since you've seen them, right? And it's cool to kind of reconnect with those folks. And, besides me and my buddy Brian, who were there in our normal seats, I had couple two tree, as they say up here in Wisconsin, contacts with people who are sitting elsewhere around the racetrack who were just there on that day. And I texted them all before the end of the race. And I'm like, is it just me or does it look more than 135,000? And every single one of them said it is way more. They're like, each person said their section was packed.
On TV, it looked capacity, honestly. It
was
really
not
did.
Capacity. You could see some gaps, but what they did, Andrew, is that they did not sell those like lowest 6 to 8 rows where the view would be the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I think they got around this capacity thing, but they didn't distance. So like the row I was sitting in was completely packed, as was the rows below me, immediately below me and behind me. It was, I feel like the 135,000 thing was just like a press release they put out so the governor would let them put the event on.
There's just no way. Sorry, I pulled up an article just because, sometimes you're memory lost here. Sometimes racing stadiums will have multicolored seats, which gives you the impression that the whole shit is full when it's empty.
Nope. The place is all aluminum. The place is all aluminum for the most part.
Oh, the distance shots, I think, are really, really deceiving. But this is a hell of a lot of people.
Yeah, it was. And here's the thing. So, like they said, temperature checks and masks and stuff at the gate. Mm-hmm. Like the day before or 2 days before, they said, okay, no temperature checks. Whatever.
Because, honestly, those don't do much.
Right.
And also, it was hot as balls.
Yes. It wasn't. It actually wasn't down there. It was 67 degrees in the sun.
Ooh.
It was actually the nicest weather. It was the first time I've been down there in about 4 or 5 years where I haven't sweated through all of my clothes. It was actually very pleasant. But so we, you get to the gate and everyone has their masks on, and as soon as you get out of eye shot of the people who are scanning tickets and stuff, masks came off. Like no one was wearing them, and no one was how can you enforce it with 200,000 people? Like no one's going to do anything about it. So you were masked going in, and actually, weird story, the people who were sitting in front of us, they had a group of like 5 or 6 or whatever. And the guy was telling me 5 of the 6 tickets scanned perfectly fine. The 6th one scanned invalid. Like it wouldn't scan through. The barcode wouldn't scan. And the guy was like, yeah, whatever, go on in. The guy at the gate. And I'm like, wait, which gate were you at? Thinking it was like some back gate somewhere. And he goes, oh no, it was the main one, 16th in Georgetown. Turn 1, like the main gate. And he's like, legitimately, we bought these all in a group, some sort of glitch, whatever. But he's like, what if someone did just like print their own counterfeit freaking ticket?
Yeah.
And they're going through that gate and people are like, meh, whatever. Go on in, enjoy yourself. Like,
I mean, it didn't just happen once. Oh, I think you can say that safely.
I'd be very confident in that. And Marshall Pruitt did a roundup on racer.com where he just kind of, it's like news and notes and a bunch of just bullet point type thing. And one of his bullet points too was, I'm not a math genius, but it looked like more than 135,000 in the seats. So it wasn't just me and a couple other fans who were thinking it. This is one of the most prominent IndyCar journalists on a national platform called it out too. So I digress. We were there. The weather was nice. And Helio Castroneves becomes the fourth four-time winner in the history of the race.
4 for 4.
Yeah,
Very nice.
Fourth for 4. And I think they said it. I had it recorded and I kind of rewatched it over the past few days, on lunch breaks and stuff from work. And one of the commentators, I think this was absolutely right, just because of the weight that Castroneves holds, not only because of his racing prowess, but mainstream because of the Dancing with the Stars stuff. Like, people know who he is. And the guy, I think it was Paul Tracy, who is an NBC commentator, said, if he was to win his 4th, it's so much better that it was this year than last year in front of an empty house.
Yeah, that makes sense.
This, to appreciate it with fans in the stands made it so magical. And I don't actively root for Castroneves. He raced for Penske this is his first year. He ran the 500, not running for Penske. And being a Scott Dixon fan, they were always on rival teams. So I never actively rooted for Helio Castroneves. But I told my buddy Brian, and we normally, we'll dump the water out of our little carry-in cooler and leave right after the checkered flag falls normally. And I told him, I'm like, we're not going anywhere for a while. We're probably not going to see this again in our lifetime. We're going to soak this in. And I was really happy we did. And the more so than Castroneves, the driver, it was his team owner, Michael Shank. And you didn't see it on the podcast Facebook page, but I did a personal post on it. Tristan, you remember this after college when I was trying to get different resumes out there. You voluntarily drove down to Indianapolis with me and stuff. And so folks, when I graduated college, I was trying to get in on the business, marketing, sales side of race teams or racetracks or whatever. And I would buy the most all access passes I could get. And I would go in with a stack of resumes and business cards, and I would just walk up to trailers, and whoever would be willing to listen, I would pass stuff out to. And a lot of these, and I'd look up, who it was I would need to try to contact or find. And I was at the IMSA event at Road America, and Mike Shank was walking out of his trailer. And I went up, and most of these folks, they'll take your business card and be like, "Meh, okay," and they'll pass it off to somebody else, or talk to my HR person, and they don't give you the time of day. Mike Shank legitimately stopped. He was reading through my resume. He was looking at my business card both sides over. He shook my hand. He took the time. We had about a 5 or 10 minute legitimate conversation where he was like, "Oh, you're looking to do this? Well, where are you from? Oh, you're from Wisconsin. We're in Ohio. If something comes up, would you be willing to move?" And all this kind of stuff. And he was the only guy who took the time to listen and to have a conversation. And I never forgot that. He was that guy. And if obviously listeners may remember a couple of years ago, we got a chance to go interview the Heinricher Racing crew. Michael Shank was a partner in that program. So when we got to that hauler and we're walking up into the hauler, there's Mr. Shank in his Caterpillar, team shirt. And he goes, "Welcome in, boys. Stairway to heaven right here." He's so engaging and excited. He didn't know us from Adam. He doesn't remember me. I guarantee you that. But he was he's so enthusiastic about it. And I'm not saying this to shit on someone like Roger Penske or these other guys, but he doesn't have other business interests. Where racing is a side project or an extension, a place to send his money. He was a driver and then he started a race team. He doesn't own anything else. And there's other interviews and in things that I've heard from him where when he was starting out with a sports car team and he had 5 or 10 people working for him, and the only way he could afford to go on track is those gentleman drivers who have the arrive and drive money. Mm-hmm. And he would say we had 3 or 4 different mortgages on my house. If we had one more bad crash, me and 5 to 10 other people are going to be homeless. It was that lean, and he worked at it and he worked at it, and he got this relationship with Honda and Acura. So now he's up in sports cars running one of the Acura DPIs, and he's got a Honda IndyCar program that their first race was 4 years ago. Their first full-time season was last year. The Indy 500 was the first time they ever ran 2 cars. and the second car with Castro Neves in it won the race. And I'm not to name drop a little bit here, but as soon as it happened and everybody was on the cool down lap, I pulled out my phone and I texted former guest of ours, Ryan Eversley, who's in the sports car ranks. He knows Shank really well. And I just said, I'm so happy for Mike Shank right now. You have no idea. And he reiterated the same thing. Like, that was a popular win on so many levels for the owner, obviously who the driver was. It was a great weekend, man. It really was. And I'm like I said, I'm more happy for Mike Shank than anything else, because he's always been very gracious to me, to us when we came in for that brief period a couple years ago. And he's one of those guys who deserves it. So there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Done. Ask questions. Soliloquy over. I just needed to get that out.
Yeah, no, that's great. I actually want to talk about the race itself, just because there's something about the 500 that is so mysterious to me when it comes down to the final, like, 10. Simply because, I mean, so the thing about the 500 is that unless you watch the whole race, you haven't been tracking strategy, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look at the final, I want to say it's probably like down to like the last 7 or 5. It looked at that point, 2 laps is a long time. It's an eternity, right? So look for the first couple of moments when I tuned in that Sato was going to win again. Mm-hmm. Like, back to back it. He looked confident. He was leading. And then you realize that he needs fuel. And it's just like, it's so soul crushing, because I was literally typing out the text to Nick, what is it about Sato that he's got this magic at Indy? And he pulls in the pits, and I'm like, God damn it. And, so he finished, I think he finished in the top 10, if I'm remembering right, somewhere in there.
He ended like 7th, I want to say.
Yeah, Dixon was towards the front there. And the last update I saw on him was that his previous stint, he got 41 laps out of a tank.
Yeah, so he got screwed over very early on. He and Rossi both. And we hear about the emergency service thing in IMSA. Mm-hmm. I've never heard about it in IndyCar, but someone, Stephen Wilson, actually crashed in the pit lane on the first round of pit stops, like on lap 30 or something. So they closed the pit entrance, and most of the field was like on fumes, because it's like normal fuel stints at Indianapolis are like 30 to 35 laps. Mm-hmm. So both Dixon and Rossi came in for emergency service, which basically you plug the fuel hose in for 2 seconds and then you go back out. Well, they both ran out while they were coming down pit lane, and the engine is so hot it vapor locks and they couldn't get it restarted.
Gotcha.
So they both lost a lap. So Dixon and Rossi were both kind of on this, we got to get creative, we're going to run super lean. And what they tried to do was essentially cut out the last pit stop.
Yeah.
So Dixon pitted with 38 laps to go, and the leaders had pitted with 50. So they had to stop. But I immediately texted my dad. I'm like, he's going to try to stretch this now.
Yep.
And cut that last pit stop out. And he did, but he was running so lean on fuel that he couldn't defend anybody. He had no power, and I think he ended up finishing like 17th.
Yeah, I want to say he pitted with like 3 to go. I mean, it was like,
yeah, he almost did it, but yeah, it was.
That's as much as it sucks when it's your guy. That is like probably the number one thing that I like about racing in general, is how you can take cars that are more or less pretty similar, because they're either working on, we all hate the phrase, but in IMSA, BOP, which we know isn't B, it's just a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
But most of these cars are going to be pretty similar if they're in a class as far as like lap times go. They all have different strengths, and working strategies. IndyCar, NASCAR, where you're working to, relatively narrow, definitions of what the car can be. Mm-hmm. It comes down to skill, which I like skill. Who doesn't like watching people who are good at what they do what they do? But I love the strategy part of it. Like you said, Nick, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna have to get creative, and like that's like the thing I go to on like the Audi Le Mans when they beat Toyota is like literally in the heat of the moment sending your tire guy over to the Michelin truck and being like, hey, can we run these 5 stints instead of 4, and like figuring that out on the fly, pushing the limits of your gear, your engine tuning, your people, and coming up with these strategies that end up winning you a race.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes the best strategy doesn't pan out. But
sometimes you don't put the dry tires on and you lose 15 seconds a lap at Watkins Glen and rip my fucking heart out.
Yeah. So that's the downside, is it sometimes doesn't work out. But watching them try is fun for me.
Well, and guys like Dixon and Rossi were in a place where they had to. Like, hey, we got to try something different here.
Yeah.
Because, guys, the field was so close. All the Indianapolis races I've watched, like, there's normally a big enough gap between the front of the field and the back where usually right around the first pit stop, the leaders are starting to lap people. Mm-hmm. Unless you had trouble this year, nobody was getting lapped. I think.
But what I wouldn't
27, 28 cars finished on the lead lap in this one. It was insane. They were all nose to tail the entire time.
I just wanted 3 more laps. So the race ended literally as Castroneves caught the whatever it was, 19th place car, whatever.
24th or something. I don't know.
Whatever it was. Just as he caught them, I think 2 corners, and then the race was over.
Yep.
So he defended, I think, one corner, and that was it. And then the race was over.
And I told my buddy who I went with, I said, if there was no traffic, Palou probably would have got him.
I definitely think you're right.
Palou had the better car because they were, if you guys haven't seen it, go look it up. It was the last 20 laps between those Castroneves and Palou was incredible to watch. And when Alex Palou would pass Castroneves, it would take Helio about 2 laps to catch back up. When it was the other way around, Palou could get him in a half a lap. Like, he got right in line and got the toe and got right back around him. But Palou's in his second Indy 500. He's 24 years old. Helio's 46. He's done it for 21 years. As soon as Palou passed him with 5 or 6 to go, I'm like, Helio's going to wait. He's not going to, he's done it a couple times. He knows he can pass him. He's going to wait until like 2 laps to go to make the move. And I mean, it was just the racecraft that got it for him. And hey, more power to him.
He strolled right around him, and
love watching people who know how to do stuff they do really well. Watching them do it is fun.
And one other thing, we've been talking 2 things. We've been talking about Indy for a while now. We can move on. The best thing that could have happened to IndyCar publicity wise, outside of maybe Jimmy Johnson if he would have raced in one, like have Helio win the thing the 4th time in front of fans after a year away. Like, you couldn't have wrote the story any better. I guarantee you the people in IndyCar's PR department silently were rooting for Castroneves.
Please.
Yeah. The other thing we got to mention is the crew for Simona de Silvestro.
Mm-hmm.
Female forward crew, 75% of the crew going over the wall was female. All 4 corners, changing the tires, all ladies, engineers on the box, female. They were pitted right in front of us, right in front of our seats.
Nice.
They weren't the fastest, but pun intended, they did not put a wheel wrong. They did exactly what they needed to do the whole time. And I think one of the coolest things I've ever seen at the Speedway, we saw pre-race and post-race parents with little girls, 4 years old, 8 years old, whatever it was, coming up to the fence and getting a picture with all those ladies on that crew. Just it's inspiring these girls that you can do this stuff in a male dominated field. And it was so cool to witness. I actually, as we were on our way out, I went over to the fence and I called one of them over, and I just had to tell him, like, this is one of the coolest things. You guys did so awesome. Results regardless, Simona ended up crashing out like 40 laps from the finish or something like that. But that was one of the, like I've been fortunate enough to go to this race for like 20 plus years, and that was one of the coolest things I've seen since I started going. It was just awesome.
Yeah, that was actually something I was thinking about too, because for me, it's not something I necessarily think about every day. I mean, we, in general, on this podcast, have kind of created, how can I say this? Essentially my interaction with the racing world is more through our Twitter account than anywhere else. And because that's so highly curated, I essentially only follow people who believe that racing is better when it's more inclusive, that racing is,
yes,
that a lot of female racers, everyone from the Heinrecker team, all that stuff. So I think that I certainly lose focus on the fact that it's not necessarily the reality for everyone to be that inclusive, and just for people to see, again, like you said, Nick, people bringing their daughters up to the team where the people are doing this. It's a stark reminder for someone who's having a daughter in just a couple of months that it's not necessarily what you see, even if you curate yourself a list of, or an environment where things appear the way you want them to be. It's not necessarily the reality, right? While in our feed, it may appear that there are tons of women drivers and they're doing very well and their teams are successful. It's the exception far more than it's the rule. So I think that, I mean, it was a reality check for me, right? That it is still important to make a big deal out of this stuff when it happens, to make a big deal out of female-led teams. It's not enough to have one in IMSA, right?
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
It's something I forgot. I'll be honest.
It, like I mentioned, it was, wholesome, I guess, was a really good word for it.
Yeah.
You look down and you see these little girls like giving high fives on the chain link to these women, and it's, it was really powerful.
Yeah,
I'll say that.
And I think, Nick, I think one of the most important aspects of your description in particular, I want to, let's, compliment ourselves on our own podcast, but talking about the women forward team, the female forward team, where it's not 100% women, because that always feels like a gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Sure.
Oh yeah, we've got the all-female team.
Yeah, or because have your own racing series like that.
Yeah, it's like oh, we got the all-female team because we're gonna put you over there. Have a all-women series because we're gonna put you over there. But having a team where it's just dominated by women, but they're working alongside the men, and no one sees any problem with that, I think is, again, I'm not having a daughter anytime soon, if ever. I don't even have a particularly old niece that I can show stuff to, but that almost would push that message further than just like, here, go sit at the metaphorical kids table. It's like, you can come and play with everyone and do well. That means, I think, more than we give it credit for a lot of times too.
It definitely does, especially like the very visible fact that it's the 500. The team as a whole earned their spot.
Yes.
It's not up for debate. It's not a gimmick. It's not a generosity moment. It's not a thing about equality. They earned their spot like every single other team and driver on the grid.
Right, because as much as we love them and had a great interview and we thought they were doing a fantastic job, if you get enough money and buy a car, you can enter IMSA. And
they're not going
to tell you no. You have to earn your spot by earning money. And as we talked to Jackie a lot about, that does require a lot of skill to get people to believe in you and back you. So that's not to minimize their accomplishment, but the Indy 500 is strictly numbers. You have to qualify, and if you don't qualify, you don't race.
Yep, you got to be fast.
And that, again, means something also.
Yeah, and one other thing on that is the sport in general, auto racing, compared to other sports the other women's sports, right? Like you see, in golf, their tee is a little bit closer. In tennis, they play less sets. In basketball, the 3-point line is closer. The ball has a little bit smaller diameter. In motorsports, Simona wasn't driving less than 500 miles. Those girls going over the wall, the tires and rims weighed the same amount that all the male crew members were picking up and had to throw on the hub.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't get, hey, you want to come compete? That's awesome. We love for you to come compete. But like you said, Tristan, you got to earn it. Like it's the same for everybody.
Yeah.
And
it's not.
So go ahead.
I was going to say it's not a denigration of other or separated women's sports. It's just that it's so different in racing, specifically in this case, or NASCAR or wherever else, where it is like spec series where everything is the same and so meticulously managed. Just for my part, I forgot how important that was because it's easy to lose sight of. The definition of privilege, right? I don't have to think about it. Therefore, I don't. It's just part of being a human, but it's a reminder.
Yeah. So, I mean, kudos to Peretta Autosport and all the ladies on that team, Simona, Beth Peretta, and all those badass women who are going over the wall servicing that car. It was awesome to watch.
It is inspiration. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah, for sure. So we just spent like a half hour on Indy, guys. So
that's the fine. This could be the rare instance of our podcast being a car podcast because I insist, nay demand, that we talk about F1
again.
We
like
might
2
have
episodes in a row.
We might have to change our intro.
This is now a car podcast.
No, are we even going to get to the stuff we told people we were going to talk about today?
Let's find out.
Yeah.
Here's what's important. The brakes are off. Hamilton reference. With no reservation. I am a fan of Max Verstappen and F1. I am 100% in.
You're in.
I'm 100% in on Fax Verstappen. And I'm making that happen. Here's why.
Baku was insane today, man.
It was insane today. So, where do we start? Race description. Do we talk about the series first? Let's go race description. Did Verstappen wreck out on lap 50 of 52?
He had a 49.
49
or 51.
That's right. Yeah, right. There was
from
a
the lead.
Lap. Yes. So, oh man, it's just so great. So yeah, Max Verstappen, complete left rear wheel failure. Like the thing just prolapsed. And
gross. No,
it did.
But by the way, at the end of a 1.2 mile, like that tire went away at about 210 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's
dude,
over 2 kilometers.
That was scary where it blew apart.
Absolutely. But he did the most amazing thing.
Thank goodness he's okay.
Get out of the car and kick the shit out of the wheel. Which was
right.
Hilarious.
Yes.
This is your fault.
and it was extremely human and very endearing, and it instantly made me a fan. The still is so hilarious because they're strapped into that upper body thing. Yeah. So he's like kicking it like an astronaut, like It's absolutely amazing.
One thing about Max, I will say, is he wears stuff way more on his sleeve than Hamilton does. He is very much more human and not media. I don't want to say media savvy, but
I think he's a little more genuine. He's
very much more genuine. Like if he's pissed, you're going to know he's pissed. He's not going to hide it in the presser.
Yeah. So anyway, race review. So Verstappen wrecks out, 3 to go. There's a caution lap or 2. I think there might have been 2 caution laps.
They red flagged the race to clean it up.
Yes.
Oh, that's right. They did. That's right. They did. Then they restarted. On the restart, Hamilton, who was in
second,
started out leading. I'm trying to go with the race and also give the larger picture, which is that Verstappen is first in points with Hamilton second in points.
4 points behind.
4 points behind for first and second. Also, not that this matters, but there's also a 1 point difference in the Constructors' Championship between the two teams.
Cool. I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, right? a little more intrigue.
Because Perez is doing so much better as the second driver than Bottas. But anyway.
Right. Anyways, so on the restart, the story seems to be, there's no confirmation at this point, and there never will be because F1, that Hamilton pressed or did not press a button that they used to heat the brakes in testing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or even in qualifying and pace laps.
Yes, they call it brake magic.
Yep.
Yes,
magic.
Yep. And so instead of turning into turn one, he fucking went straight into the gravel.
Well, here's the thing. On that restart, which they did like a full race restart from a dead stop.
Standing start
again with 2 laps to go.
Mm-hmm.
He got a better start than Perez. So he started from second, but he was leading into the first corner.
Yes.
And then the brakes just were overheated basically, and
the announcer that I was listening to like called it. He was like, "Oh, and Hamilton's brakes look like they're a little cooked there. He needs to be careful and whoops," and like
So
I was like, what?
So end result, Verstappen DNF. Hamilton finishes 14th, something like that, outside of the points. Of the points.
For the first time in 54 races.
That's a hell of a thing.
So nobody gained anything in the Drivers' Championship.
Yep. So the rest of the field has caught up. First and second place in drivers have not changed. And we are another bad race away from a third team entering the fray between Red Bull and AMG Petronas for championship. Maybe, I mean, if Leclerc does well, and who's the other one who's also close?
Lando Norris from McLaren.
Lando Norris. So there could, for the first time in what seems like my entire life, be 3 teams. There's 2 now, which is rare enough, but there could be 3 teams in the running for an actual chip in F1. I keep coming in here saying, well, I like F1, but I keep playing. No. Fuck all of that. No, enough about the rule changes. Enough about the fact that next year everything's brand new and it's going to be dominated by some other team. Let's not think about any of that. Let's just be fans of the fact that F1 is good without reservation, without this complaining, Hamilton, this. No. F1 is good for the first time in 15 years. So let's all just enjoy it.
Well, I actually, I usually catch up on it just by reading stuff afterwards and everything else. But personally, I had seen footage from, I think it was like 2 years ago, was the last time they ran in Azerbaijan.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Something like
that. Yeah,
the
last year was canceled because of the pandemic.
It's like this. I like this because it's got this really long straight and then like right into Old Town where the streets are like 4 inches wide.
Yeah.
And
they're running between the castles.
Yeah. Like I'm like, this is awesome to watch. So I actually made a point of recording it and I watched it this morning.
There's something going on. I'm feeling things about F1 that, how do we turn this into an F1 podcast?
I have to say this. One, I think, Tristan, yes, the track lends itself. It's one of those
to dramatic racing.
Yeah, and the guy who commentates, well, it's Sky Sports, but that ESPN picks up, he's like, well, let's talk about passing points or passing zones. Well, they're everywhere here. Like literally any corner, because there's so many long straightaways, the braking zones, you can deal with it. Andrew, to your point, so in F1, in a lot of series, actually, there's that time when the teams can't work on the car. For F1, it's between qualifying and the race, you can't touch the car, and it's called Parc Fermé. So I get ads on my news feeds for an F1 podcast called Park It in My Ferme.
Wow.
I have not yet listened, but I thought the name was incredible.
Sometimes low-hanging fruit really is the sweetest.
Sometimes these things just write themselves.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you're right, Andrew. You're one, like,
we just got to do it.
Leclerc qualified on pole the last 2 races. It wasn't a Mercedes or a Red Bull.
Uh-huh.
If they can figure out the race pace, they're right there. I think he finished Like Leclerc ended up finishing fourth.
I want to say it was fourth thing. There was him and
Pierre Gasly from Alpha. How about Sebastian Vettel, the people's champ? He and
Vettel?
Kimi.
That's right. Yep.
Vettel finishes P2 today. Like
Aston Martin, AMR's first ever point or first ever podium.
First ever podium. Like Aston Martin officially.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, don't they have a crazy name? Or is that it's not Aston Martin?
It's Cognizant Aston Martin, like the title sponsor is that software customer.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Norris is he's making Ricciardo look like a chump who is much more experienced than he is, and they're in the same car. Lando is 22. Like he is going to be.
Is he really?
Yeah, and he's in his third year already. He is going to be really good. He's already really good. He's going to be great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, he's 21.
Oh shit, 21.
Gasly's team.
AlphaTauri.
Yeah, he's 25. He's not old either.
Yeah, I mean they got there's a lot to be excited about in Formula One for 2021. Like, yeah, I am. Like you said, Andrew, I normally record them anyway, but usually I'm more in tune with qualifying because that's when they just let them rip and those cars defy physics and it's incredible to watch. I am all in on this. Even if it's just the Verstappen Hamilton story, like Max is not going to let this go without a fight. No. Like he is, no. And it seems like right now, at least at this point in the season, Red Bull has a slightly better car than Mercedes does.
I think they definitely do.
First time in
a long time
that anybody's had a better car than Mercedes does, which is cool because now you get to see, not that I'm questioning how great Hamilton is, but it's like, okay, now he doesn't have the best car on the grid. What can he do with it? And he was leading this morning too. Like he can drag that car up. He made a mistake with the brake magic button today, so whatever, but it's going to be interesting to see how he handles going into a weekend knowing that, okay, I don't have the best car by a second a lap.
Yeah, and that was some of the, I was almost sad because you knew they didn't have the best car because they were just going to wrap up that program eventually. But that was some of the most exciting Audi at Le Mans racing when Toyota had them beat on pace for like 3 years. And, Peugeot was close, if not better than them before that. And the dream team of, Rockefeller, McNish, all those guys, and then the engineers were like, we don't have the better car, but that's okay, we can still do this. And watching them do it, that's some magical stuff. And if Hamilton can do the same thing with, the numerically not better car, yes.
If he pulls it off, like, not that you need to validate his greatness, no one should be. Right. But if you don't believe at this point, if he wins it this year,
if he does that,
shove your foot so far down your throat.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm also not here for the Hamilton pushed the wrong button after he threw. No, shut up. I'm not. I'm not interested.
He's gone 54 races without a mistake.
Yeah, we might be. Yeah,
he pushed the wrong button one time. Give him a break.
Stop doing it.
Yeah,
stop doing it.
Stop doing it.
Wow.
We're an hour in almost.
Tell you what, because we're an hour in and we don't want to keep people around forever, let's go through some top 10s and we can hold license plates for another time.
That's fair. So which list do you want to start with, Andrew?
Let's see here.
Actually, hold up. I'm sorry. Before we dive into these lists, it'd be a good time to remember or to remind people so they can remember how to get a hold of us. So we are on socials. You can find us on Facebook by searching Check Engine Podcast. Andrew, you mentioned the Twitter feed before. Where can they find us there?
At Check Engine Pod.
Tristan, where can they find us on the gram?
Also at Check Engine Pod.
So be sure to like, follow, share, post, DM, communicate with us somehow. Reach out how and when you can. You can ask us questions to answer on air. You can let us know what about this show you like or dislike. You can give us ideas for topics to talk about. All that good stuff. Thank you in advance. Now, Andrew, go. Top 10 list.
Here's what we got. I think this is a good place to start because we've talked about this, I mean, a good amount of times. Ugly cars. So here, let's review a list of the top 10 ugliest cars of all time.
According to WatchMojo.
According to WatchMojo. And I think what we're going to find is that a lot of this is meme influenced. So for those who don't know, WatchMojo is a YouTube channel that puts together lists. I guess they're essentially like BuzzFeed, but they never have ever strived for any sort of legitimacy. And so they just make these lists a lot of the time. And this is the ugliest cars of all time. Top 10. Number 10, AMC Gremlin.
I mean, it's not the best looking, but I would.
Then a car that I was not familiar with, the Tata Magic Iris.
That one's pretty bad.
I think it's cute.
I don't know. I don't. Weirdly, the only thing I don't like about it is it looks like it's going to tip over forward.
Yep.
Yes, definitely.
The wheels look like they're too far back, but that seems like a functional issue, not like it makes it ugly. It just makes me worried about it. I worry about the cute little thing. It's going to fall over.
So it's essentially like a K car manufactured out of India, a Japanese style K car, right? So really, really tiny, produced out of India. This does not belong here. This car is adorbs.
Yeah, I want to take one home and make sure it doesn't get hurt.
That's right.
I disagree.
Come on, man.
It belongs on this list.
Number 8, Chrysler PT Cruiser. Yes.
Yep.
Fine.
Yes.
We know. Number 7, Suzuki X90.
Fuck that and fuck you, WatchMojo.
That's absolutely wrong. Also adorable.
It's adorable and yet somehow adventurous.
Okay, so here's what they do. They do write little paragraphs or scripts essentially for the video. So here's their paragraph on the X90. So many of the cars on this list just don't make any sense, and this is how the guy narrates them too. And we're likely the products of designers trying to create that next big thing. The Suzuki X90 has to be an example of that because there's no other explanation for its existence. That is so rude, by the way.
Yeah.
Also, the next line is ruder.
Between 95 and 97, Suzuki produced this fusion of a car, truck, and despair. With a truck-like nose, the profile of a Fisher-Price pedal car. Why are they doing this to the X90? The profile of a Fisher-Price pedal car and the abbreviated rear end of an SUV, the X90 failed to carve out a desirable identity. We would give them credit for trying, but it's not clear that they actually... Who wrote this? Who is this mean? Liam Hillary.
Script written by Liam Hillary.
Rude.
I know of others that are uglier.
Definitely.
The Suzuki X90 does not belong on this list.
Definitely not. Okay, this next one is silly. The next one is genuinely one of the best looking examples of this kind of car ever made.
Yes.
The Pontiac Transport, which was a van that Pontiac made. Did they actually? Yeah. It made
90s?
Early 90s.
In the 90s. And it's like the sleekest looking van this side of the Previa, right? Previa in the one spot. And the Transport, but the Previa was front mid-engine, so it was a race car.
Yeah, I mean, compare this to like grand caravans and things of the time. This looks like a freaking spaceship in comparison.
Absolutely. There's no nuance to this list at all. It
does kind of, the nickname, I'm not saying it's ugly. I agree with you guys. Like, it's not ugly, but it does kind of look like a dustbuster, so that the nickname sticks.
Yeah.
It definitely does. This confused attempt at a minivan sucks. This is just rude. Number 5.
I just posted a picture in the chat. When I was looking up these cars, I found this picture of the Transport, and I defy anybody to say that that's an ugly car.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, we'll post that on the socials, and listeners, you can provide your opinion. But there's nothing like, what's wrong with having more glass?
I know.
I mean, you can lump everything in like, it's from the 90s, therefore it's ugly. Sure, okay.
Right.
It's dated, but I wouldn't call it ugly.
It looked like, I mean, I don't know the order of operations necessarily for 90s Pontiac, but if I'm right in how this concept was released, the Transport was the look of every Pontiac through the early years of the 90s. It's that way that brand looked. Like, what are we doing?
Oh yeah, especially, grill headlight area for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, just fit the design theme of the brand.
This is nonsense.
Yeah, that's so yeah, X90 and Transport complete misses.
Not. So this next one, I don't know, because it's a car that I've talked about quite a bit because I have a theory about it. So the number 5 is the Nissan Juke. And I think this has to be demonstrably wrong because every SUV is a Nissan Juke now.
Yes, I would agree that the Nissan Juke was trend-setting.
Absolutely.
Would be the best way to describe it.
So, and did you guys read the script here?
I'm reading it right now.
Yes.
It makes... So, when you hear the word juke, you think football, you think shifting and bypassing and defender, you think agility. Now let's look at the car. It's big, bulky. Juke is tiny. What the hell is this guy talking about? The
size of a postage stamp.
Yeah, there's nothing big or bulky about a Juke. Again, not the greatest looking. I'm not a huge...
Bulging wheel arches means a wider wheelbase and wider tires, which give your car agility.
Exactly.
Dumbass.
This list, I'm offended.
Like, I'm not a huge fan of the Juke, but you're right, Andrew. Like, this specific model legitimately set the stage for all of the CUVs or small SUVs on the market.
Yeah.
The Blazer is a Juke with a Camaro headlight.
Yeah. About half of brands, every brand tried this with their SUVs for a while. Some are still doing it, and we're kind of like moving out of the Juke phase, I think. But I mean, Hyundai's like going further. Now my car looks like a Juke, like the angular lines and stuff on the side.
More.
Hyundai's doing it more. You're doing it more, and I don't know this guy.
Show some respect.
Number 4, Reliant Robin. Okay.
Can I talk about this one first?
Yes, please.
I figured you'd have something to say about this one.
No, here's the thing. We're talking about the writing. Literally, it's like, other than it has 3 wheels instead of 4, there's little in the way of visual excitement to behold here. Okay, so the best that he could come up with for why this is ugly is it's boring.
Wait, sorry, I'm just checking. Yes, top 10 ugliest cars of all time.
He never tells me why it's ugly. If you take away the fact that it has 3 wheels, it's just a square headlight British car of the time. It's entirely unremarkable without 3 wheels. It doesn't mean it's ugly.
It's a boxy hatchback.
Yeah, it means
it's an early Golf with 3 wheels.
Right.
Yeah,
there's nothing really wrong with it.
And it was, a car for people who couldn't or didn't have driver's licenses.
I say specifically, it wasn't a car. That's the whole point. That's
yeah.
So these.
No, go ahead.
These next 2, I actually agree with, but
number 3, Pontiac Aztek. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I think I've just become immune to the Pontiac Aztek at this point.
But it's pretty bad. Like, if you just, it's
once
you
clear the room and the smell clears your nostrils and you can then smell it again, you realize that it stinks.
Fair.
It's pretty bad.
Number 2, Fiat Multipla. Hideous.
You know what this reminds me of? I just thought of this. What is it? The goblin fish or the goblin shark, where it's got that extra little protruding, like, that comes out and yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's horrible.
2 dishonorable mentions before number 1, Nissan Murano Cross Cabriolet. I have no time for this meme. And outrageously, this should cause a riot. On this list of ugliest cars of all times, the Plymouth Prowler.
Which we've got other issues with that car, but the whole point of it was to look good, and it worked.
The issue with the Prowler is that it was a shit car that looked incredible, and it does look incredible.
Therefore, was deeply, deeply disappointing.
Yes.
Yes. Just top 10 most disappointing cars of all time. Yes.
Yeah, ugliest cars. There's nothing about it really that's that ugly. It's different. It doesn't make it ugly.
Sorry, I'm just reading the. I really should have read these before, so I just wouldn't be so apoplectic all the time.
It's a live reaction video too. It's fine.
Their number one ugliest car in space and time. The ugliest car of all time, according to WatchMojo, is the Nissan Cube. Okay, here's the play. Did I miss a trick with the Nissan Cube? Nissan strikes out again. Almost universally considered the worst car of all time.
Says
Swaggy
who?
P-Face?
Says who? Who's universally considering
I've never
that?
heard this.
I have almost universally considered the worst car of all time. The Cube appears exactly as its name suggests.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Japan only. Yes, we know. Notably, it claims an asymmetric wraparound rear window. While that does break up the design a bit, it doesn't do much to overcome the whole it's a box vibe and really only amplifies the UGG factor. Number one. Out of everything?
I mean,
I don't think. Again, this is one I don't think it looks great. I'm not a fan of it, but I think this guy has just got a boner for shitting on Nissan. He's got the Juke at 5, the Cube at 1, and then the Murano as a honorable mention.
That is not. I mean, probably as Tristan pointed out, it's probably the Aztec.
Aztec or the Multipla. How is this worse than the Multipla?
I have the rear window amplifies the UGG factor, Tristan.
Does it?
Yeah. Okay.
Does it? This list is insane. A person not in touch with reality wrote this.
Hot garbage.
Even if you took the same cars, let's say he only knows these cars.
Mm-hmm.
The order's wrong.
I wouldn't even put them in this order. Exactly. That's just insane. A mad person wrote this.
Multipla is 1, Aztec is 2. So he was close on that.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I would probably put that Magic Iris at 3.
Yeah. I know, but it's cute, but...
Oh.
It's cute like a Boston Terrier puppy. Like it doesn't look good, but it's cute. So you have to protect it.
Yes, exactly. I must protect with 2 C's. Okay. All right. Let's try to find some sense of normalcy in another negative ranking list because I am
not
attracted.
Optimistic.
I am attracted to this sort of foolery. The top 10 worst cars of all time.
Got it.
Let's see if maybe what we should do here, not specifically in this episode, but maybe we should try to flesh out what the fuck WatchMojo's doing, because have they driven a car collectively?
Yeah, are they a car? They're not a car site.
No, definitely not. Anyways, all right. So top 10 worst cars of all time according to WatchMojo. Number 10, Eagle Premier, which is just an unturbocharged Eagle Talon. No. Number 9, the Maserati Biturbo. It is known to be kind of bad, but unreliable more than like horrible.
Yeah, like again, it's maybe it's a definition of which worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here is one that does belong, and a car that does not get shat upon enough. The Lexus SC430.
Hot garbage. He's right on that one.
Absolutely appalling.
Yep.
Number 7, the Chevy Vega. It was a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't know that I would disagree with that.
Yeah, that's not great.
I don't think it looks good. It came in weird colors.
It did have big engine problems.
Yes. And
aluminum block engine, yeah.
Which is funny because in 1971 it received Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Right.
Then subsequently became known for a range of problems related to its engineering reliability and safety, propensity to rust and engine durability, so all of it.
Year number 2, not great.
Yeah.
Okay, number 6, the Hummer H2? No.
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
honestly,
bad.
it's just a box on top of a Silverado frame. It's at least semi-reliable and built halfway decently.
Yeah.
It's like the most emblematic car from that time.
And it also, the script here is just going from the Green Earth side of things.
Yeah, just because it's the Earth Stomper 3 million, but what else is wrong with it?
Wait till these people find out about the Ram TRX.
Yeah, getting an obscenely poor 9 miles per gallon. Yeah, but it ran. Like, you didn't have people talking about how
get that
how unreliable it was. Like, yeah, the
non-real
people
number
who bought it
of
knew
mileage
the
of
gas
things that don't
mileage
go
was
anywhere.
bad. That wasn't like a surprise.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, this Hummer doesn't, like, they knew that going in, that you're going to have to be at the gas station 3 times a day. And they bought it anyway.
I'm just reading the last two sentences here for the blurb for the H2. Option wise, the H2 is fairly basic for its $53,000 price tag. Air, cruise, heated power and leather seats, and a Bose stereo. It was 2004. What other thing did you want?
Expect?
What? And unsurprisingly, it was also hard to park. Yeah, okay, all right. Enough. Number 5, the DeLorean DMC-12. Yeah.
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess I can give them that one.
It's a meme, but yeah. Number 4, Amphicar. Yeah.
Which is funny because that
hey,
means
I like that one. That's my
same
guilty pleasure car.
The same engine has shown up on this list twice.
that was it a VW engine?
No, it was a Peugeot engine. It was Renault built PRV 3-liter V6.
Nice.
That was in the Eagle Premier and the DeLorean DMC-12.
Shout to that. So number 4, Amphicar. Nick, I forget you do like this car. It is kind of Garbo though.
This is why I was on my guilty pleasure list, because I like it despite the fact that it is Garbo.
That's true. Number 3, Reliant Robin. Again, not a car.
Man, is this the same?
Checkmate.
Is this the same author? Nope.
No, it's not. Number 2, the Yugo. I think this is a meme. Okay, but context though. It's a bad car, but I don't know if you can judge it on American cars at the time.
It was sold against American cars at the time.
Okay, yeah. You're right.
So yes, you can. Everybody was.
All right. I don't know. It just seems mean to. It can't be one of the worst cars of all time if it was in production from the 70s until almost 2010. Right? Right?
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is that too hopeful? Is that too pro-communist?
No, it's just I don't know. It can be. It's kind of like people who just swear by Harbor Freight stuff because it's cheap,
okay.
and when it breaks, because we know it's terrible, I can buy another one. And they've been in business for a long time because people buy a lot of stuff from them because it's cheap and unreliable. Like it's kind of a weird circular logic thing, but they were in production for that long because people kept needing to buy new ones.
Okay. All right. Okay. It's a self-sustaining market.
Exactly.
It's like the what is it? The shoe paradox from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yes.
Soon the whole planet was shoe stores.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Precisely.
All right. Honorable mentions: Ford Mustang 2.
Yeah.
It doesn't belong. Not top 10 worst ever.
But the honorable mentions. Yes.
Yeah. Saturn Ion. Rude. Not a shitty car overall.
Yeah, I don't know what's necessarily wrong. It's not exciting by any means, but
no.
it's not
The
nothing wrong with
Edsel
it.
Corsair. I don't know what that is.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that one.
And once again, Pontiac Aztek, mandatory.
Well, see, I feel like this. So go ahead and talk about the number one, Andrew, and I'll get into this.
All right. Number 1, the Ford Pinto, the fire machine.
Mm-hmm. That is mentioned in the paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
With the gas tank wedged between the back bumper and the rear axle, the car is prone to exploding into flames when being rear-ended.
It is a self-burning car, yes.
Yes. In a lot of these, the author leads off with the looks.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, there's a difference between being ugly and being a bad car. So if you're saying it's the worst car because it's ugly,
that belongs on the other list.
that belongs on the ugly list. That belongs on the list that we just finished.
Right. Exactly.
So
the Ford Pinto is pretty
the
effing
Pinto's
bad.
bad.
Universally bad. It wasn't built well. It was spec'd using ancient technology, even for the time,
and was ugly.
And was an immolator. So
yeah.
And also, just
It was.
just something else here. I don't know when this script was written or when the video was released by WatchMojo, but it said for the Pinto here, rumored to mean small penis in Brazilian slang. Couldn't we figure out if that is really the case?
We couldn't go to Urban Dictionary for that one.
Like, it's been 31 years. Couldn't we just ask somebody, hey, what does Pinto mean in Portuguese?
we couldn't go to Brazil for that one.
And also, there are lots of other things it does mean. Like a type of bean and a type of horse.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Forgot about the horse.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's still rumored though.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We haven't asked anybody who
Allegedly.
speaks Portuguese to confirm nor deny.
Allegedly means pee-pee. Great. Let's do a positive one here. Let's do one more and see how we feel. Top 10 dream car features. I don't know where this is going. I didn't pre-read this one, so get ready. Number 10, horn tones. Yeah.
For sure.
Although, okay. So the horn tones obviously would be like a customizable horn. Which Teslas have, question mark?
Kind of.
I think that's the thing, right? It's a really good idea. Everybody wants more than one horn. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, the horn is a warning signal. So, I don't know. What do you guys think?
I would say I don't know if it's a dream car feature.
I want it.
I mean, maybe it's like pressure sensitive, where if you just tap the horn, you get your meme sound, and if you really lay into it, you get the full volume 2-tone. Get the hell out of my way horn.
Definitely. By the way, my car, amazing horn. I've never had a good horn in a car. Mine's amazing. It sounds like
mine's pretty good. Yeah. By the way, according to Google, it means chick in Portuguese.
Well, they got close, I guess.
And in Spanish, it means speckled.
Uh-oh.
Well, I think that's where the horse name comes from then.
Sorry, the fact that they would say that it could mean penis, small penis, in Portuguese, or specifically they said Brazil though, in Brazilian slang.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to have it mean girl would be Absolutely legendary.
Anyway,
Yeah, anyways. Number 9, futuristic snack dispenser. No.
define futuristic.
Road trips are thirsty work, blah, blah, blah. Built-in snack bars. A mid-morning latte with a slice of cake is one of life's little luxuries. Cake in the car? This is nonsense. So they
you pull up,
want
switch off, and serve up a
pastries,
feast.
candy bars, and cookies, or even pre-prepared salads as a healthier option. While washed down with a warm cup of caffeine, a salad and coffee. Go to prison. Okay?
Well, who's gonna replenish it when it's done? When you eat your snack bar out?
That is not included in this.
That's why it's called futuristic.
Yeah.
Robots are going to do it.
Salads and coffee. I'm repulsed.
Or even wash down with a warm cup O' caffeine.
Pure caffeine.
Just pure caffeine.
It's just a warm, slushy caffeine. Number 8, real all-season tires. That would be great, actually, but it's impossible for so many reasons.
Currently,
Well, I don't think they take possibility into account here. So
yeah, I think Dream.
if
would
you look further
imply-
down the list, Andrew,
I know. Well, listen. Okay, I know, but
But I would like that. Like
Yeah.
the snack dispenser. That's silly and stupid. But
It is.
real all-season
All-season
tires,
tires.
I would love that.
that would be amazing. So, but I guess the question is, does that mean they are? What are we talking about here? Are they just tires that function as snow tires in the winter and all seasons, or
Summer
whatever
tires
in the summer? Or are they summer tires, meaning sport tires in the summer?
It's your dream, Andrew. What do you want it to be?
I hate you. Number 7, super non-stick paint job. Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
yeah, that'd actually be good. I don't know. I don't understand why they put super in front of it.
Super non-stick.
Because
Why
there's,
did
I
it
mean,
say
some like,
non-stick paint job.
because like it's already like when it's seal coated and waxed and everything, it's kinda. That's the whole point. But truly, maybe I should say truly would be a better word than super.
These folks, if you're listening to this, go look up this list on WatchMojo. The text of it, the actual text, is so fucking cursed. Please remember, if super non-stick coating does arrive, definitely don't put it on your tires. That would not end well. This hurts. Number 6, self-repairing engine.
Sure, that'd be
Yeah.
great.
Okay. We want to be told precisely when a transmission is failing. It does that. Our starter is broken. It does that.
Does that?
Or when our exhaust is officially exhausted. It does that. So I was thinking about this the other day, because one of the things that strikes me as one of the luckiest possible engineering, maybe accidents, maybe planned things in the history of all, is the fact that incandescent bulb blinkers, when
Mhm.
one burns out, the other one goes faster.
Yeah, the relays are passing more current through one side, so they freak out and go fast.
Yeah, and I don't
Self-diagnostic feature.
exactly. And that's not something that's ever taught in any driver's ed course, but it really should be. And again, I don't know if that was an accident.
Once your
Or-
blinker goes from tick tit 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 tit,
Yep.
you've got a light bulb out, son.
Exactly. It's
Which
just
is
amazing.
Funny because that's also makes modifying them to LEDs really difficult.
Yes, it does. It truly does. But I mean, yeah, some of that stuff. First of all, your car will let you know when the transmission is failing, and you will know when your starter is broken
Because the
by
car doesn't start.
the distinct lack of starting is your note.
I don't know why I didn't make that connection till just now. But yes, obviously.
Oh, you were like, how will you know?
No, honestly, my thought was to go to a shameless plug and say, a Carly adapter could tell you all of this stuff.
Of course.
It's no longer a dream. The future is now.
Yeah,
That's true. Anti-collision bumpers, number 5. No, we tried that. We do it now here in America, and it sucks.
yeah.
Oh God. Oh God, I read the text. Oh my
Magnets.
God, they said the magnet thing. Fucking magnets. How do they work?
The problem with that too is that like you'd have to standardize, and then it would only prevent like rear end collisions, and would in fact enhance nose to nose collisions.
Spectacularly.
Yeah, wham! You get too close to somebody in the parking lot, and you'll just
gunk.
And then you get somebody to do the same to your back bumper, and you just make a big chain of cars, and that's how you get the self-driving cars of the future, where you all hook up to go down the freeway together, and then you flip your magnets off when it's time to get on the exit.
I'm just imagining like driving, like the force is so strong. I'm just imagining driving down the freeway and then just slowly doing a 180.
And then head to head
to somebody else's bumper.
Just rapidly assing into the car. Oh my God. Oh yes. That's hilarious.
So no to that one. That's not
that's
the anti-collision bumper system.
This is just this had to have been written in like 2011. This reads like everything I hate in the whole world. Number 4, self-sustaining electric power. Wouldn't it be great if the laws of physics were not immutable? And it would. That is true.
I guess it fits then. Yes, that would be nice.
It would. Number 3, customizable car skins. I do not support this dream because I can hear BMW getting wet at the thought of selling car loot boxes that are full of paint.
It's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, I guess it would be kind of cool.
It'd be kind of cool, not needed.
In my dream, where I want this, that wouldn't happen. How about that?
Right. I know.
my
dreams are also depressing.
That's why let me dream these, okay?
Oh, wait. Sorry, I just remembered. Was it Tristan? Was it Audi that did a full LED screened exterior car for Frankfurt, like in like 2015?
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't recall that one.
I'll try to find it. I have no idea. Anyways, someone did this actually with, it's like a bunch of screens on the outside, and it was like flowing types of it. Looked cool. Looked great. I wouldn't want that on my car, but it looked cool. Number 2, onboard computer AI, like Kit from Knight Rider. Great. You want Kit.
I mean, I would say I just want that to actually be what we live with all of these, personal digital assistants, Siri and Alexa and all that stuff. Like, if we can get there, then you can put it in the car too, and I'd be fine with that. Mm-hmm. If I could actually just in natural language ask a computer to do basically anything for me because they could figure out how to do it because it's actually in artificial intelligence and not just, as my dad likes to say, instead of machine learning, it's people learning. Yeah. Because you have to learn how to talk to these things. They're not learning anything about the way you speak.
Correct. Nor are they doing anything other than counting the number of times you do a thing and putting that at the top of the list of order operations.
And when.
Yes.
Like comparing it to when. So like if I could say, hey, thing in my car, I need you to, book me a hotel reservation and, tell the guy at the front desk that I'm allergic to down pillows and, like all this stuff. And it can actually figure that out. And or on your own, talk to, one of my associates and figure out where they want to go to lunch and book us a reservation while I'm doing something else.
Right.
Like that kind of stuff. Like an actual AI, I would love to have one of those.
Oh yeah, hey, I'm gonna stop for gas, but I don't know where the gas station is. Plot me a route to the gas station. Get me back on the freeway, but I want to go a different way, or get me back on this course, but I want to go a different way. If you could say that,
yeah,
and it would do it,
even if it needed clarifications, like another way, like do you want to avoid the freeway, or is there an accident you know about that I don't, or whatever? Like,
yeah.
people are intelligent and can ask for clarification. I'm not going to give the machines some unpassable bar, but like just talk to it and it does things. I would like that in my car.
Absolutely.
And
By the way,
anything you want.
there was an Audi concept that had a bunch of shit on the outside, but it was just LEDs. The Audi AI ME concept. Ties in neatly. Also the VW ID Room Z concept and the Mercedes. Okay, so Germans do this.
Yep.
Number one.
Read it. Read it.
The ability to fly.
No. Absolutely not. You would step outside into a death trap every single freaking day.
Well, fortunately, you wouldn't have to do it every day because you'd only try it one time before dying horribly. Confusing country roads. Country roads go in two directions simultaneously.
They're not confusing.
They're the opposite of confusing. Man, sorry that was in the text for people who aren't looking at the thing. The flying cars are so fake. All of these companies, Hyundai just nominated or named a new CEO of flying mobility. That guy does nothing. How do I get that job?
That'd be a great job.
Now, to be fair to the article, let's say that because of, for example, in-car AI that could, download a program teaching it how to fly, communicate to other cars. What if it was actually reaching the other thing we like to laugh about, full autonomy, where you don't have people flying cars? Because I think that is a horrible idea, as we've discussed in the past. But let's say there was a way to, if full automation occurs, you could bring 3 dimensions to travel, up, down, and sideways, side to side, forward and backwards. Would that be something that, from a strictly transit, I'm going somewhere viewpoint, that could be of value or interest, if not to you and I, to someone? It's a dream. It's a dream list. They're not saying how they're going to achieve it, but let's say you could achieve it. Would you want it?
No, like coffee with a salad, I would not want it. Here's why. Admittedly, it's been probably 4 years since I was on an airplane, but people around flying are the worst. Not the people who do flying. Regular people, when they are about to do flying, are at their very worst, universally. And maybe it's just it's unusual, and let's say that it becomes mainstream. Everyone does it every day, and it's no longer a big deal. But people on airplanes, in airports, driving to airports, returning from airports, every single person, myself included, is at their very worst.
What if you could eliminate? I think where a lot of that
other people.
Well, the problem comes from is other people, and the act of having to go to the airport, be somewhere on time, get through security, make sure your baggage doesn't get left behind. All the stress associated with flying makes people terrible. Let's say you could throw your backpack in your car and it flies you to work, and you didn't have to I'll be honest, I can't even grapple with that as a dream because I find it so unrealistic. It's like saying, what if the moon were made of cheese? Yes, what if? I've had that dream.
What kind of cheese?
Gruyere.
Get
out of here.
Oh, man. All right. Listen.
Your dreams is where anything is possible, Andrew.
It's actually not.
It's very much not.
No, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I turned 28, this thing started to happen where when I'd have nightmares, part of my brain would just be going, yo, that shit is crazy. This is this nightmare is wild. And then I'd wake up not afraid, or, it's still kind of whoa, that was a crazy dream. But literally, part of me is sitting back going, this dream is weird. And so that has started to infiltrate my normal dreams, where now like this omniscient narrator who uses my voice just like, this dream is crazy.
Well, not having an internal monologue, I don't have that.
That's right.
Yeah,
as
he
we
doesn't have that.
discussed.
He doesn't know what you're talking about.
Yes.
Does that happen to you, Nick?
I don't remember any of my dreams.
To dream, you'd have to sleep, Nick.
I also don't sleep that often.
He is a creature of little sleep.
For real, like I will lay in bed for like an hour, I will blink and the alarm goes off, and I have no idea what has happened in the 7 hours in between.
How did I get here?
That sounds awesome.
That's my night. I don't have I very rarely do I have it. Maybe once every month or month and a half, I will actually wake up and be able to recall what I was dreaming about.
That sounds great. I usually don't remember now, because now when I wake up, all I remember is that voice going, this dream's crazy as hell. It's like, that would never happen in real life. Anyways. Okay. Here is, I want to do more of these, not tonight, but later, because there's something wrong with the people at WatchMojo. And I am legitimately concerned that they have not seen a car.
Do you think the people who got assigned to do these just aren't car people?
I don't know if they own what.
What if it's actually, which we were talking about, what if it's like machine learning? Like just put together by bots that have read reviews about cars on the internet?
Machine learning trained by old Top Gear footage from before 2009.
And
Yes.
they randomly select a name, script written by Sean Harris.
Oh, this one's Aaron Cameron, so that's fake. I want to do more of these. I am intrigued now, and they also get me a little bit mad, and I like that.
We can probably do this next week because we can leave out an hour of motorsports discussion.
We can do that. We can do some license plates.
We can do license plates and more lists and just keep going.
And also sneak preview. I really do. I do want to find a way, and I don't necessarily know how we would do this. I do want to find a way that the three of us each design our now. So Porsche's doing custom builds now. You can call up Porsche and say, I want this exact thing from this exact year, presumably even down to like interiors. And they have placed almost no restrictions on it, except that they won't do, the only thing they will not do is builds that exactly replicate a special edition.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So like, if you, you can't have a Cayman build and turn it into a Boxster.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
then they say, buy the Boxster, you asshole.
Right.
But
that would be
otherwise
awesome if
they
there was
have-
actually a pop-up or a voice on the builder. Buy a
Right,
Boxster,
exactly.
you asshole.
But otherwise, they have put no limitations. Anything from the history of Porsche. I want to figure out a way that we can do that. And then I want to do some more of these lists, and we got to do the license plate thing. So we're going to have some good content coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got, it sounds like for the first time in a while, we've got like 2 or 3 episodes planned out. in advance.
Yeah. we're back on the horse.
Woo! That's awesome.
I had a dream about being on a horse the other day.
Shut up.
Nobody asked you, Dudley.
I dream about a horse made of cheese.
Yeah.
Gruyere horse.
No.
Camel bear.
Colby
Tristan.
Jack.
Colby horse named Jack.
Colby Jack Horseman.
Nick, please help me.
Okay, so we're done now. So
Yep, we're done now.
So I'll say this. Thank you for sticking with us today, everybody. We appreciate you listening, but we don't want you just to listen. We want to interact with you. We already mentioned how to find us on the socials, so be sure to get in touch with us on there. On your streaming platforms, be sure to leave us a review, preferably a good one, and or hit that subscribe button. You know what? It's free. You're just going to get notified of anything new that we do for you guys, so what's the harm in that, really? Come on. If you're really into what we're doing and you want to support us monetarily, you do have 2 options for that. You can either go to patreon.com/checkenginepodcast or hit that support button on our homepage at anchor.fm/check engine podcast. Every cent pledged is put towards making this a better experience for you, the listener, and none of it goes back into our greedy little pockets. So thank you in advance for that. Gentlemen, do we have any special shout outs before we get out of here?
I do, yes. But all I can think about is fucking Colby Jack Horseman. It's causing me physical pain.
So you'd like to thank me for that, right?
Yes, that's what I'll do. I was going to thank my wife on her birthday and make a moving sense, but no, Colby Jack Horseman.
Oh no! See, I can't steal that. You gotta. Right. It's gotta be. It's gotta be that.
Yeah, I would like to thank my wife though. I mean, it's one of those things, right? You get married and then you start to have a kid and you just like appreciate the person that you're with so much for doing this somehow mysterious thing that humans been doing since humans have existed, right? Carrying a child, but it's such a essentially magical process, right? And she's been amazing through the whole thing and working every day, got the baking business going strong. She's just really, really great. And it's everything's just amazing. It's been the best year of my life ever. And so thanks to my wife.
Look at you getting all sentimental. And happy birthday, Meg.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. The best part about this week is she is going to get a double thank you because her cookie company, Sunset Grove Cookies, produced not one, but two fabulous batches of cookies for a family gathering I was at this weekend. A very, very, very well put together set of graduation cookies and a simply inspired set of birthday cookies for maybe one of the best nicknames ever, and did it with a total straight face. My future brother-in-law's nickname is Beaver, and she had to, with a straight face, put that on cookies, and she did an absolutely bang-up job, and it's a huge shout-out to, Sunset Grove Cookies, which is one person. So it's true. It's true.
I'm just going to keep this theme going and just do a special shout out to Meg on her birthday.
Hey.
And I just say I feel bad because last year she did a fantastic job with my girlfriend's birthday cake. And for whatever stupid reason, I completely forgot to ask her to do it again. So we missed it. But
there's always next year.
There's always next year or other fluid, occasions. Nick. So happy birthday, Meg. Congrats on everything going on with the baking business and all that good stuff. And here's to you. And sorry I didn't ask you to make another cake.
A thank you and an apology.
And as always, thank you, listeners, for your continued support. We love hearing from you. We love recording this for you, and we can't wait to speak to you again. Until then, take care.